So let's dive into a really incredible story. It's about a community that packed up their lives in the familiar fields of Canada and journeyed to the highlands of Durango, Mexico. They were chasing an idea, a chance to build a new home rooted in their own traditions and, above all, freedom. But, as you're about to see, the reality they found was, well, it was nothing like they could have ever imagined. I mean, that one line just says it all, doesn't it? Imagine traveling for thousands of miles, holding this perfect picture of your new home in your mind, only to arrive and have that picture completely shatter. This was that first jarring moment of realization for them. And their first night? It was a trial by ice. Seriously, you can almost feel it just reading this. The wind just slicing down from the mountains, the tents offering almost no protection at all. You just picture the kids huddled together, their breath making little white clouds in the freezing air. This wasn't just uncomfortable. This was a brutal welcome to their new life. And this really puts that disconnect into perspective. Look, they weren't expecting the lush green fields they'd left back in Saskatchewan, but they weren't ready for this either. They found themselves on this rugged, high and cold plateau where, and I love this detail from the source, pine trees literally outnumbered people. They were completely, utterly alone. But here's the amazing part. Despite the shock, despite that brutal first night, they didn't waste a moment on despair. Nope. The very next morning, the elders were out and the work began. This was their first act of defiance, really, their first step in carving out some hope from this chaotic, unforgiving landscape. And their plan, wow, it tells you everything you need to know about what mattered to them. This wasn't just about building a town. It was a physical representation of their values. A house, a school, a church, right at the very heart of it all. Family, knowledge, and faith. Everything else would grow from that solid center. And so, they gave this fledgling community a name, Nuevo Ideal, the New Ideal Colony. It's so simple, but it's packed with so much purpose. It wasn't just a dot on a map, it was a promise, an idea they were determined to build, literally from the ground up. Okay, so the land is measured, the vision is set. Now comes the truly backbreaking part. This next chapter in their story is just a testament to their incredible grit and ingenuity when faced with, well, having almost nothing. And you can just see their whole process of adaptation right here. They started with what they knew, right? Building with lumber they'd managed to bring all the way from Canada. But pretty quickly, that ran out. So what do? Give up? No way. They looked around and they learned. They turned to what the land itself offered them: mud, straw, and sun. They started making adobe bricks, just like people in that region had done for centuries. This line from a settler's journal, it just gets you right in the gut. It gives you such a powerful window into their mindset. You see, they weren't just building houses. They were honoring a massive sacrifice. Every single brick they mixed, every beam they lifted, it was all fueled by the memory of what it took to even get to this point. This was so much more than construction. It was an act of pure will. But as hard as the physical labor was, that wasn't even the greatest test. The real challenge, the one that tested their very souls, was the crushing weight of their isolation. And this list, it's just so stark. No real roads, just trails. No doctors, no stores to get supplies. And then there's that last one. No church bells, yet. That one little word at the end, yet. It's just brimming with this fragile, stubborn hope, isn't it? But make no mistake, they were on their own in every way imaginable. And the reality of that isolation, it hit them with an unimaginable tragedy. Within the very first month, illness swept through the colony. 2 infants died. Their first graves had to be dug at the edge of their new home. A heartbreaking, devastating price to pay for their new ideal. So after a loss like that, how do you even find the strength to go on? Well, this quote from one of the young men, this is the answer. What a powerful statement. For him, for all of them, this brutal, honest struggle was still better than the life they felt they were pretending to live back home. They chose hardship with integrity over a comfortable lie. But after so much hardship, a glimmer of hope finally appeared, their first harvest. And it was so much more than just food. It was proof. It was a sign that maybe, just maybe, they could actually make it here, that they could survive. Now, let's be clear, this was no grand feast. The harvest was small, the bread they baked was tough, and the meal was a simple lentil stew. But that's not the point. The point is, it was theirs, grown in this rocky soil, earned with their own sweat and tears. You have to believe it was the most satisfying meal they had ever tasted in their lives. I mean, just look at the progress. Think back to that awful first night, everyone shivering in tents. Now, as that second winter loomed, they were ready. They had the essentials. They had roofs over their heads. They had a source of water. And most importantly, they had each other. They had become a real community. And this scene, for me, this is the emotional peak of their first year. You can just picture it. The wind is howling outside, reminding them of the harsh world they're in. But inside this small room, there's the warm glow of lanterns, and there's the shared hope in their voices as they sing Silent Night in German. It's just a perfect moment of peace, faith, and unity. And really, this brings us to the fundamental truth of their entire story. Nuevo Ideal was never going to be an easy place to live. It wasn't gentle, but it gave them the one thing they valued more than comfort, more than anything else. It was free. So what did that new ideal really mean in the end? It wasn't about having a perfect life. The ideal wasn't comfort or wealth. The ideal was the freedom to just be, to speak their own language, to practice their own faith, to raise their children without looking over their shoulder. For that, all the hardship was worth it. It was ideal enough. And that's what this story leaves us with. It's not just about something that happened a long time ago in Mexico. It's a timeless question about what we truly value. What are we? What is anyone willing to endure, to sacrifice, for the freedom to build a life on our own terms? What price is worth paying for a home that is truly your own?